1 in 9 girls and 1 in 53 boys under the age of 18 will experience sexual abuse or assault at the hands of an adult. More than 290 coaches and officials associated with America's Olympic sports organizations have been publicly accused of sexual misconduct since 1982. Larry Nassar falls into this disturbing statistic. Nassar has abused more than 250 women while disguising his assault as medical treatment while serving as the sports medicine doctor for the USA Gymnastics team and Michigan State University. He is now facing a lifetime in prison. New York State Assembly member Charles Levine is here with a new bill that will push to protect young athletes from sexual abuse in New York State. And he joins us now. Assemblyman, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Jenna. It's a pleasure to be here, although I wish I were here under more pleasant circumstances. This is a very challenging issue that faces our culture, our American culture, and our people in the state of New York as well.
Well, and that's actually where I want to start, because, of course, the Nassar case was so public, but I think a lot of people might say, but that was in Michigan. So first of all, why is this necessary in New York State?
Well, notwithstanding the fact that Michigan is one of my home states, in reality, this is not a problem that is isolated simply within the boundaries of the state of Michigan. This is a national problem. It is, in point of fact, an international problem. And it is time, it is past time for those of us who are in public office to pass the legislative measures that are necessary to attempt to protect our young people.
So how exactly would your legislation work in protecting young people?
New York State is one of the states that has a system of mandated reporting. Any number of people in New York State under our social service law are mandatory reporters, and these are people such as physicians, police officers, social workers, and actually it's a very lengthy list of people in the state of New York who are required under penalty of law to report cases of abuse, sexual abuse, or physical abuse of young people. Now, what we want to do is this. Many of us thought, of course, amateur athletic personnel who deal so closely and often so intimately with our young people are already mandatory reporters, but they are not. So the bill that I have authored will make amateur athletic personnel mandatory reporters, and that carries with it the obligation of these people to undergo some basic training so they know how to recognize, and it's not so terribly difficult to recognize, people who are victims of abuse. And this has been introduced in the State Assembly, and we're getting a lot of co-sponsors. It will be introduced in the State Senate as well, and we will in New York State make those involved in amateur athletic training mandatory reporters. And that's a step in the right direction. It's not a panacea. No law is a panacea, but it's a step in the right direction.
And I think that is very encouraging to hear that you, of course, have co-sponsors for this legislation and interest in the Senate. When you mentioned so much that it's time, it's past time, with all pieces of legislation, there comes a time when they really stand a chance of passing. What makes now the right time?
You know, we have in the field of microprocessing of computers, there is something called Moore's Law, and that law holds that developments in microprocessing are so dramatically rapid that if you buy a computer today, within 2 years it will be outdated. Well, we have a very similar phenomenon in human relations and human nature. But we don't have a name for it, but we don't need a name for it. What we have seen is that our cultural attitude, our cultural mindset as Americans with respect to what is appropriate and what is not appropriate changes. And today we live in a world in which we are much more conscious of and much more, to our credit, sensitive to issues that involve protection of young people. Many years ago, this subject was simply not discussed. This issue has captivated the public conscience. Legislatures throughout the United States are grappling with it. The United States House of Representatives is discussing it, and the best way that we can help to protect our young people is to take the initial step of making amateur athletic personnel who interact so closely with young people mandatory reporters. Years ago, in the so-called good old days, this was a subject which was so controversial that it was simply not discussed. And to say that it was swept under the rug is a grotesque understatement. This is nothing new. And I suspect that those statistics of 1 in 6 young women and 1 in 53 men are dramatically underrepresented. I suspect it is more than simply 1 in 6 and more than 1 in 53. It's time for us to discuss this. It's time for us to honestly deal with it, and it's time for us to take the steps that are necessary. Now, we know that without the law, the weak and the vulnerable are defenseless. It's time for the law to begin to change so that we can best protect our young people.
All right, well, Assemblyman Levine, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the program. And of course, this legislation will be following its development as it works its way through Albany.
Thank you so very much for giving me the opportunity to speak about this important subject.
Thank you.